say two things are different from each other. Salty water could be misunderstood to be a single entity unless one heats it thoroughly so that all the water evaporates, leaving salt residue behind. Salt is realized from water only after it is ascertained that both elements can exist independent of each other. In our normal experience, we understand mind as an entity having powered with consciousness, becomes aware of the objects of the world. Our mind could be sometimes gloomy, sad, or happy, or joyous at other times. Are we not conscious of these states of mind? Just like outside worldly things are the objects of the mind, mind is also an object of our consciousness. Are we not aware of us being conscious? So there is something behind our consciousness also. And who is now aware of that consciousness which is behind our consciousness? This can go on and on in an endless chain, having no end. It may sound tricky, but it is actually very straightforward. Let me explain. When I say imagine an elephant in your mind, what you imagine is a subtle object in the mind that points to the actual elephant in the jungle. In the same way, when you imagine the consciousness that is aware of mind, it is still in mind a concept that points to that awareness behind the mind. Since this conception happens in mind, the one which is aware of this concept is still the same consciousness. And this can go on in recursive fashion any number of times, still reaching the same point, that is pure consciousness. There was an eccentric person who tried to bury his shadow. He started to dig a big hole on ground, hoping to deeply bury the shadow. At last, when he has finished digging the hole, he saw his shadow in the deepest point. With sigh of relief, he began to fill the hole up. In the end, he found the shadow to be again at top. Shadow is as much his own self. In the same way, the consciousness that is aware of every object of the gross world as well as every subtle object of mental world is your own self. You experience dreams, you experience the waking world, you experience the absence of all the objects of experience during deep sleep. What is common in these states? It's you, the witness to experiences of all the three states. The waking world consciousness Being aware of the consciousness, which is aware of the mind, is just a self reflectiveness of the mind. It's mind watching the mind. It is like a thief at night gets in the role of police during the day, trying to catch its own self. So when I say to find out the witness consciousness, you should find out that element which is aware of all three states of experience: waking, dream, and deep sleep. Yesterday I dreamt that I'm living in a hut on top of the hill, covered with clouds. I have a pet bird that doesn't live in the cage. She speaks in a human voice. I have even named her Maya. Every evening we spent time talking to each other about the setting sun and the rising moon. One day the bird died. I got a pet dog who also speaks like humans. It was such a vivid dream that I felt as if I have been transported into an alternate world. Mind is such a potent instrument that it creates the scenery in vast landscapes. Mind itself creates concept of time in dreams. Don't concentrate on the dream objects. Think about the seer. The seer who is watching the whole stuff as a movie. It is like it is likely that you yourself is there in the dream, but still there is a witness consciousness that just watches. Think about the objectives and the circumstances of the dream world. They are starkly different from the waking world. From the waking world, I slept full stomach, but I may feel hunger and wretchedness in dream world. Both the states have one thing common, that is the witness consciousness. The concept of what am I and where am I is created as part of dream itself. It is not different from the dream. In the same way, your objectives and goal in the waking world defines your role in the waking. Your situation and your role is the complete essence of your life. And all this is just the object of witness consciousness that you actually are. Do you identify yourself with the dream role, waking role, or the permanent witness consciousness that experiences both? Are you single entity inside or a committee? You are just a single entity that is the witness consciousness. All the problems of life is due to wrong identification of the self with the mind in the waking world. Hari Om Tat Sat.